Welcome to City Hall, where we're going to see one of the most stunning examples of the city's public art program. Inside, placed throughout public spaces, is the City of Phoenix Native American art collection called Sharing Ancestral Creations. This exhibit includes contemporary and traditional work by more than 60 Native artists from throughout Arizona and New Mexico. And joining us before we embark on our tour is Assistant City Manager of Phoenix, Cheryl Scully. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Cheryl, I know that you sit on the board of the Herd, so Native art is obviously a big passion and interest for you, but you've also been credited with really energizing the process to bring this collection to City Hall. How did that come about?
It actually began as I was working on the City Hall construction project several years ago, and of course as part of the construction of City Hall, we dedicate some of the project budget for public art. And we had various components that we wanted to incorporate into the building, and a Native American collection was a component of that program, so we're very excited to see it completed.
What would you say we really have here in terms of a rather unique and impressive collection?
There is so much diversity. We are able to show and to exhibit in the public spaces in City Hall work by indigenous people of Arizona, and we tried to focus actually all of the art for City Hall by Arizona artists, and we're especially proud to have this Native American collection as a component of it.
And I know that you have recommended really a walking tour brochure that will be available for the public. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're very excited because we want the public to enjoy the pieces of artwork, and in fact our public art staff has put together a beautiful brochure that will be a walking tour for the public who want to look at each of the pieces here in the building. And we have the pieces on display in the public areas of the building so that those who are coming to City Hall can enjoy the artwork and actually take a walking tour throughout the building to look at each of the pieces.
Well, thank you for joining us, and really thank you for making this exhibit happen.
Well, thank you very much, and I'd like to compliment the artists as well as the curators who really are responsible for the wonderful artwork that we have here in City Hall.
Thanks. As we embark on our tour, we will stop along the way to meet with the two women who curated this collection, and we'll meet with a couple of artists as well. And now it's time for Sharing Ancestral Creations. the lobby level of City Hall with Alex Maldonado, member of the Pascua Yaqui tribe from Guadalupe. Thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Now, I know you're very proud to be from Guadalupe, and there's a thriving Yaqui community there, isn't that so?
Oh yes, something always happening there. Usually some sort of celebration or ceremony of some sort.
Now, Alex, you're an artist really in a couple of levels. You carve these incredible flutes, but you're also a musician as well. What came first, the carver or the musician?
Well, the carver came first. I learned how to make flutes first, and then I taught myself how to play the flute.
Wanted to touch on what really opened this door to you for the passion for music and carving flutes.
Well, the truck driver part, I was an over-the-road truck driver. I drove a truck for 3 years over the road, and I drove locally for about 8.5 years here in the valley. And I just happened to be on a long trip out to Spokane, Washington one weekend, and driving across Oregon, I stopped in a 2-lane highway on a little rest area, and I figured 5-10 minutes I'll be in and out. And just as I was getting ready to climb back into the truck and leave, somebody started playing the flute, and I got hooked.
A bit of an awakening to your love. Let's talk about the flute that you carved specifically for the exhibit here. It's representative of the deer dancer, which is a rather traditional figure in Yaqui culture. Is that true?
Yes. When most people who know about the Yaquis, they think of the Yaquis, you hear the name Yaqui, automatically they think of the deer dancer. And for us, the deer dancer is somebody who is somewhat in the realm of becoming the deer himself. Mm-hmm. This is closer to a traditional Yaqui flute, which I'll play later. But when I did this, I also wanted to put a little bit of myself in there. And so I made this out of mesquite, and I wanted to show the representation of the deer also there. So these are carved out of a lighter oak, and the black walnut is the base of the stand, representing the deer itself.
Now, this is really not traditional material, is it, for a flute? This is made of mesquite.
Yes, the flute itself is made of mesquite, and the reason I decided to make it out of mesquite is because I was told that my grandfather was born under a mesquite tree, and that was something that was kind of special to me. I never got a chance to meet my grandfather, and I wanted to make sure that I made something that I could show people and represent him, but it also represents our people, because we used mesquite for other tools and other instruments in our ceremonies.
Well, we are very pleased that you've graciously agreed to play your music for us, and you're going to start with a traditional Yaqui flute and drum.
Yes, it's going to be a short song. That's the traditional Yaqui flute, and as I said, I'm still learning on that, so it's a short song. But this is what most people are accustomed to listening to when they hear of a Native American flute, and the song that I want to share with you is also something that pertains to my people, but it also very strongly pertains to my grandfather, and I call it the grandfather song.
Well, we've arrived at the 11th floor at City Hall, office of the Mayor and the City Council, and we're joined by Wendy Weston. She's an education programmer at the Heard Museum, and you
Yes.
co-curated this incredible exhibit.
Yes, I did.
Just give us a little bit of background on what was involved with putting all of this work together.
Well, when we first were charged with curating the exhibit, we looked at all the tribes in Arizona, and we thought, what kind of story do we want to tell to people? So the theme of the exhibit is sharing ancestral creations, and we wanted to illustrate in the exhibit how the continuity of our traditions have stayed with us as Native peoples all throughout the centuries. And so we wanted to show in this exhibit how very old traditional objects of art are even still being used today in 1998. And we also wanted to show a little bit of the inspiration that the artists draw upon when they create new works of art.
Well, as an observer, it is extremely inspiring. I mean, it's such incredible work and really comparable with any exhibit you'd find at a museum anywhere.
Yes, it is, and it's very diverse in that we have 21 tribes represented, work from 21 tribes represented in the exhibit, and the quality of the artwork is superb. It is museum quality art objects that are here in the collection, and many of the artists who have their pieces here also have pieces in museum collections throughout the world.
And one of those, of course, is Kathleen Wall,
Yes.
and we're standing in front of her work right now. Let's talk a little bit about it. She's very well known for these clown kosharis. She's a Pueblo, Chippewa potter, correct?
Yes, Kathleen is Jemez and Chippewa, and she was born and raised in the Santa Fe area in New Mexico. And she's in her mid-20s and a young up-and-coming artist. And her representations of the kosharis are very, very lively and very vibrant. And this was probably the favorite piece of all of the people here at the commission when we were doing the collection, and they sat back in the room and everyone enjoyed their personalities, because you can see by looking at them, they really do have personalities.
Kathleen comes from a family of potters, clay potters, isn't that true?
Yes, she does. Kathleen is a clay artist, and her mother works in pottery, makes traditional Jemez pottery where Kathleen learned. But you can see by the work here that Kathleen is doing something a little bit different than the traditional pottery style of the Jemez people. This is what we're talking about. These are one of the messages that we're trying to convey in the exhibit. So Kathleen comes from a long line of potters, and she has taken her art form and moved it into a different dimension. But it still is very, very much Jemez pottery.
So it's, although traditional, it has evolved.
It has evolved to what it is right now, what we see in front of us.
What feedback have you gotten, Wendy, from the artists who are represented here?
The artists who are represented here are very honored to have been selected to be part of the collection, and they were very excited that they would be in such a prestigious collection in one of the major cities in the Southwest.
Essentially, you've turned a working government building into really a museum space, and I suppose that presented some challenges?
Yeah, but we just want to breathe a little bit of life back into some of the unoccupied spaces in City Hall, because City Hall in itself is a piece of art. It's a work of art. And so to be complemented by work such as this, I think the city's really done itself a favor, and its citizens.
I agree. I did want to just make one point that this rather impressive collection features the work of not only established artists, but of emerging artists as well.
Yes, emerging artists. Also, we wanted to showcase work that was done by artists who have lived and worked in their communities their whole lifetime, but have not gained or sought after the type of recognition that other artists have received. And they are very established in their own communities, in their own rights, and we wanted to show a little bit of their work as well. So it's a very diverse collection, and we're very proud of it.
Tell us a little bit about the weavings and just the rarity of having some of these weavings available.
Many Navajo women choose to weave rugs and keep the weavings in the privacy of their homes and to use them for their family, to give to members of their family, and also, most importantly, to teach members of their family patience and hard work and the rewards that come from that. These are ways that we teach our daughters how to become hardworking women. And so some of the pieces that we have here in the collection, they are not by weavers who are well known and who have traveled all over the world. They are by women, everyday women just like you and I, who are living and taking care of their families and passing tradition down through their work and speaking through their weaving. Also through the weaving, these women are maintaining and upholding all of the songs, the prayers, and the traditions of the Navajo people. And that is a reason why we continue to be a vibrant culture today.
Wendy, I want to thank you so much for not only curating this exhibit, but for coming down today and taking time and giving us so much wonderful insight. Thank you.
And thank you.
We're joined now by Gloria Lamaheftawa, who is the Assistant to the Director for Native American Relations at the Heard Museum and who co-curated this exhibit along with Wendy Weston. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I want to do something just a little bit different. I know this is a bit of a surprise to Gloria, but I just wanted to read something for you.
Okay.
From when I was very young, it seems as though I was surrounded by expressions of beauty. As far back as I can remember, there were colorful and intricately designed baskets, pottery, bows and arrows, weavings, and kachina doll carvings accenting all the households of my family. I was lucky to have experienced this exposure. It's helped me to develop an appreciation for the beauty and aesthetics of my people. By Dan Lamaheftawa, your brother.
I knew that sounded familiar.
You have a very talented family. Both your brother and
Yes.
sister have pieces in this collection.
Yes.
What do you think when you hear those words from your brother?
Oh, it's just like reliving, you know, the whole experience of our upbringing because it was constantly there. I mean, all of our family members were creative as far as producing, constantly working on something of creation. And by our upbringing of in Hopi life and culture, gifts that we received from the Kachinas, and those decorated our home, that it was always there. Always a reminder of who we were or who we are.
What is it that you would like the public to know about this rather extensive collection of Native work?
I think the main thing that the collection is to present to the general public is a reminder of the fact that the indigenous people of this country are still actively alive and living, practicing indigenous cultural ways, as well as practicing their religion, traditional religion, and that cultural arts that are produced today are still very much alive.
Well, it's a stunning exhibit, and I know you especially wanted to speak about the weavers, the basket weavers.
Well, most of the weavers today carry on not only their role as far as, you know, caretakers within the home, but then also as a way of assisting with family income. Then the transition has been made into basket weavers now producing baskets for the market. And most often, when they make them for family use, it'll be for ceremonial use. The Apache basket is one that had been used as a carrying basket for while the women were gathering food plants. And they would carry the basket on their back. With the Hopi baskets, the yucca sifter basket is one that is still used today very much in the homes, whereas they'll sift out the corn when they've taken them off the cobs. Then they'll sift out the fibers, and then when they wash it, then they'll sift it again. This is an exceptionally large one, which isn't produced very often. And these are most often used in ceremonial use, the larger baskets.
as a final statement about the collection, it's really taken a functioning government building and transformed part of these empty spaces into really a museum exhibit. Just your personal feelings about what you all have accomplished here.
Well, I feel very positive about the development of the collection and the fact that the city had even considered doing it, which is, I thought, a wonderful feeling that the city wishes to recognize the indigenous people of this area, and through that recognition then allowing a collection of cultural materials, cultural arts to be presented within the metropolitan environment.
And thank you so much for your participation and for coming here today and talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joining us now is Master Maricopa Potter Thurleen Brett and her daughter, Dee Sun, Dorothea Sun. We're calling her Dee. You're really carrying on a tradition that's become very rare. You're members of the Maricopa tribe, and on your district, the Gila Reservation, there are probably only 500 to 600 tribal members left, as I understand. And of that, really only maybe 5 women carrying on the tradition of this pottery. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. And maybe a couple of males or whatever.
Are you concerned about this becoming a lost art?
Yes. I'm pretty sure it would if we don't teach or anything.
What is really unique about your mother's work? She's highly acclaimed. What sets your mother's work apart?
Let's see, there's several things. She does large pots. There's a lot of polishing to it. There's just different styles she has. She's got a really nice designs to them.
It's quite remarkable, really, the steadiness of the hand that's involved with the work.
She's got her own unique style.
And you do too, I might say. I mean, you've created this effigy jar that's on display here as well, which is Mojave style, the red on buff. What is involved when you're making a piece? What is the process?
This is the clay we get in our community. It's an old ditch bank, and we bring it home. We lay it out on a tarp, dry it out. We pound and sift it, and this is what it is. It feels sort of like talcum powder or wheat flour. We add water to it. We mix it like dough, taking out all the air bubbles. It forms little pebbles when you add water to it, so you have to really knead it. And this is the clay itself right here. The paint itself is a rock. We pound it and soaked in water. It changes colors with the sun from the iron oxide and the rock. And we like it this color, this red color, coral color. And in the forming of it, this is just how we form them. They come out white, and we use a rock to smooth them out. And
Rock and water.
rock and water. And then we add the paint on there, and that's what it looks like with paint just added on, not rubbed on or anything. And then this is the ink. It comes from the mesquite tree. There's 2 saps that come out of the mesquite tree. There's black tar sap, and there's a clear crystal sap. And we boil both of those 2 together, and it comes out to kind of like brownish color. But after you fire it, it turns on black, and what we use to design it is a toothpick. And after we get through doing the design, it comes out black from firing.
What is it that you want people to know about your art, Thurleen?
Well, like I said, my art goes way back, and I would just like to see it improved more or whatever, you know, and a lot of people learning, and because we are going to lose it one of these days, and I just try to encourage the younger ones to come out and take classes if they can.
Explain a little bit about the work involved and how you fire these miniatures.
My miniatures are baked in the oven, conventional oven, mainly because they don't need to be at high temperature. They can just bake and harden up like that. I really like doing the miniatures, mainly because I can still be able to see and design them, and they're a lot much easier for me than making a larger piece. And this is something that I can share with my children. They enjoy it. My youngest one is just mimicking me all the time. You know, she's right in there with me, so I'm pretty sure she's going to be the one to carry it on.
Thank you. Well, I think it's wonderful for you to come and to share with us because most people don't really have that sense of history about it or even the sense of how meticulous the work is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that when we held hands before, there's an incredible amount of energy coming from your hands that obviously feeds into your work. For more information on sharing ancestral creations or other public art projects, contact the Phoenix Arts Commission at 262-4637. Sharing Ancestral Creations was curated for the City of Phoenix by Atlatl, a national service organization for Native American arts. Its mission is to provide Native peoples with the tools to produce, present, and interpret Indigenous art forms.